Indianapolis is a city known for motorsports. Over 100 years ago, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway was built out of miles of bricks. And even though it no longer bears the brick surface, it's asphalt, it still retains over 100 years of history. The Oval has been a place where IndyCar, NASCAR, and others have raced for decades. But tonight, it's the road course that the Area Lodgebox Series will take to for the 13th round of the season and the first of 5 playoff rounds. I'm Kyle Heyer, joined by Connor Horn and Hunter Sleppy for the first of those 5 rounds tonight. 35 laps around the 14-turn circuit. Connor, welcome aboard. This is a challenging racetrack with a lot of nuance that's going to be extremely challenging. The field size isn't huge, but those that are here trying to make points, they've got a lot of work on their hands.
Yeah, a lot of work for all these drivers tonight, all 20 or so who are in the field so far. This is going to be tough. We've seen from the few races from the NASCAR Cup Series, Xfinity Series, this place can get treacherous. Whether it's the track falling apart or the drivers losing their heads into turn 1, a lot of things can go wrong before you even get out of turn number 1. You have to be on your toes for anything to happen tonight, Hunter.
Indeed, and back when they switched to the Indy Road Course, it was the Xfinity cars, which is what really grabbed my attention. That race in 2020. Towards the end of it, it got really good, and overall the racing was really great, but that's what sold me with the Indy Road Course on this track. It was the Xfinity cars, and I feel like we're going to see a great race tonight. The Cup race exceeded my expectations back this previous Monday. Looking forward to see what the Lodgebox Series has in store for us.
Here's a look at the points coming into the round of 12. 2 races make up each round. We have this round, or this race, and heading into our cutoff for the round of 8. That will be next week at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. The drivers in the red boxes, Shane Ferry and Rob Ackley, Colin Fambrough and Cameron Hearn, all have work to do tonight to make sure that they advance to the round of 8, Connor. But Alan Elwood, Scioli, Furness, Beckner, Ryan, they're looking pretty good, but even they can't afford to have a real bad night tonight, and nobody is locked in.
Yeah, no one locked in anyways. We saw at the beginning of the actual Cup Series playoffs, Chase Elliott was like 40 to the good. After one race, it was pretty much away. So Alan Elwood, James Scioli, they're in no ways good. Although they're looking good on the timesheets, we don't know what can happen. And then you get back to guys like Chris Rabel, Greg Mitchell, they have to be on their toes. Eric Grant as well, because while Shane Ferry and Colin Fambrough, Cameron Hearn, Rob Ackley, they're below the cut line. They've been some of the fastest drivers all season. Cameron Hearn being 6 points down there. I don't really expect that to stay like that for too long. So Mitchell, Grant, and others above the cut line got to get going and have really solid races these next 2 weeks.
And looking back at the previous road course we were at, Mid-Ohio, back in, early on in the season, 9 of the top 10 drivers in that race were all in the playoff field. So should see most of the playoff drivers up here, and we should keep an eye on James Scioli because he has led an astounding 92 of the 108 laps that the Lodgebox Series has run on road courses since Season 2. He's won all 3 road course races. But I would also keep an eye on John Furness because he impressed on the road course back in Mid-Ohio. Him, Travis Beckner is also one to keep an eye on these road courses. But the 7 of Scioli seems to be like the pick to win tonight.
Certainly could be. Here's a quick look at the Xfinity Series standings, the Lodgebox Series here. 4 wins apiece for DWR and Sky Motorsports. Fazekas with 2. Unacceptable and Miller with 1 apiece. And a good battle formulating there between Fazekas and Keeping It Real. Only 4 points separate them. And interesting that you noted John Furness here, Hunter, because at the top of the board here in practice, it is indeed that 28 car. And Connor, do you remember back at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course the last time we went road racing? The 2 drivers that battled up front, yes, it was the 28 and the 7.
And only separated by 1/1000th of a second on the timesheets. And it came down to a bump and run. Scioli got physical with the 28 machine to win that race. And Furness, obviously not one for retaliation. They know how hard racing at a road course is. Bumping and banging, that kind of stuff happens, especially at Mid-Ohio. And you have those sort of scenarios where you might need to get physical here tonight with so many slow-moving corners at this Indy road course. You never know what might happen.
Well, Dom just called you GOAT, Kyle. He said Kyle GOAT. He said, how can you forget about the 728 battle of Mid-Ohio? Then he followed up with Kyle GOAT.
I'm always paying. I was even reading the chat. I didn't even cheat right there, Hunter. But you'll also notice on the left-hand side of the screen there, the green drivers, if it wasn't clear already, those are your playoff contenders. There are 12 of them right now. There will not be 12 of them after Las Vegas next week. So this is an important night for drivers that are especially skilled on the road courses. John Furness especially. He's pretty safe in the standings as it is. But Connor, if he could win tonight, he would lock himself in, immediately advance. But also guys like Cameron Hearn, the 67, runs 4th right now in practice. He could really use a win and advance all those positions that he is down right now.
Yeah, win for guys like Vanbro and Hearn, that would be huge for them. We'll see what they can do, but looking at the timesheets, it's almost looking like we're going to get a 7v28 battle again. They are a full half second in front of the closest next driver, which is actually 3rd place Justin Munsell, the highest non-playoff driver, looking really solid in the 20 Super tonight. So we'll have to wait and see what the 67 can do, but a lot of those guys behind the cut line could sure use a win tonight, but we really have 2 of the best road course drivers, some of the best road course drivers on the sim in general racing tonight. As someone went wide there, we're going to see that all night long. Winding turns through 12, 13, and 14. Going to be so tough to get the power down out of the final corner as well.
Yeah, really, all these playoff drivers are really solid on the road courses. From what we've seen with Furness, we only saw one race with him, but in one race we did see, did a pretty stellar job. Skylerly mentioned he's won the last 3 road course races. Beckner, he's a road course ringer himself. Elwood does pretty good here on the road courses. Tommy Ryan, another playoff driver you see on the screen right there. He finished in the top 5 back in Mid-Ohio. Hearn, Chris Rabel, and Mitchell, they all got top 10s as well. So pretty stout field here for playoff racing. We'll have to keep an eye on the weather, because it's very cool over there in Indianapolis.
Yeah, not too bad. It should be fairly grippy. There's a couple trouble spots on the racetrack that we found on Monday with the Cup Series cars that I think we're going to see again. One of them, turn number 1. This is an extremely tight corner that is going to pose a big challenge. Here's another look as we go to the B-roll here to show you turn number 1, the challenges that await here, Connor. That is incredibly tight. The other, turn number 7 right here, that's another tight corner. And then, of course, turn 12. Those 3 corners in particular are going to be the biggest challenge, and we'll probably see the most mistakes in those 3.
Yeah, lap 1, turn 1, we're going to have to keep a close eye on it because it's going to get pretty wild. We'll go from about 6 lanes to maybe, if we're lucky, 2. And if you're really daring, probably 3. And even that won't work through turn number 2. We're going to see a lot of action through that corner, especially that corner all night long. Got to be careful of the chicane in 5 and 6 as well, as at least the curbs won't break like they did in real life about 2 years ago, but you still got to make sure you get single file through there. You try going too wide through there, you will not make it, guaranteed.
And I was in a lobby, well, over here in a lobby with some of the Cup drivers, Ryan Hartz, Ryan Swan, Travis Beckner. They were all partaking in a little practice session here for the Indy Road Course, and there were a lot of complaints about the braking in the Xfinity car compared to the Cup car, where it's not as lenient with the brakes as the Cup car is, and some people they don't like the braking in the Cup cars. So the Lodgebox car seems like it's going to have a lot of more challenging turns there. So turn 1, turn 7, turn 12, they're all going to be challenging. And I wouldn't expect like a really fanning out restart, kind of like what you see in real life racing here at this track, where they go 3 wide, 4 wide, heading into turn 1, then having to merge down into 2 lanes. Did not realize that there is no restart box here, so as soon as that pace car goes into pit road, the leader, whoever wins the pole here, can go wherever they want. So keep an eye on that as we got qualifying.
It's interesting that you bring up the braking. The next-gen cars have independent rear suspension, and that allows so much more rear grip on the braking. When you brake for a road course in the next-gen car, you can just smash the pedal to the floor for most of the brake zone. You cannot do that in these cars. This is the solid rear end, solid stick axle braking performance that everyone's experienced, wheel hop and the things of the like, so that'll be a big challenge. Before we get qualifying completely underway, we'll take a quick moment. Fans, be sure to subscribe to the Area iRacing Twitch channel. For only $5 a month, you can watch all Area broadcasts commercial free. You can also use new Area iRacing emotes in the chat. You'll also earn double channel points as a subscriber that you can use to redeem for free merchandise. That's twitch.tv/Area iRacing. Cars on track, qualifying, Connor. Smaller grid tonight, but still important to get a good starting spot.
Oh, not at a bad. You have to start up front here, even though it's almost like if you could pass a lot of cars in 35 laps here, maybe you start at the back, but turn 1, you really don't want to be even included in any of the shenanigans that could go on into that 90-degree corner, so you need to start almost in the front 2 rows to have any sort of sense of security. As we look at Chris Rabel getting onto the front straightaway here to, I believe, start his lap. He should be the first one across the line to start a lap here, as we'll see the miles per hour. We'll see them climb all the way up to about 172 before you get hard on the brakes, 4th, 3rd, probably 2nd gear. just graze that curb, if at all. Try to get back over to the right to get the best turn onto that curb, turn number 2. And then got to be careful here because the car might slide a little bit too far left for your liking before this corner right here, Hunter.
Yeah, don't want to get in the grass there. Otherwise, you're in for a wild trip. And then we've seen a couple side-by-side battles through here as they go through 5 and 6. Don't want to go side-by-side through there. And then they get a nice run down here for this long backstretch. And then into turn 7, where slowing down here is going to be a problem.
Turn 7, another great passing opportunity, though. Rabel looks pretty solid so far. It stays off the curb there. That's another big, tall curb you probably don't want to hit. 1, 7, and 12. I mentioned those are the challenging corners. Those are the ones with curbs that if you're going to touch them, you just want to graze the edge of it. You don't want to be hammering them. Turn 10, though, you can get right on that. Then turn 11, it's just a kick to the right, rejoining the oval in the opposite direction. And then turn 12, hard on the brakes. Another passing opportunity if you can get it done early enough. And then you head into 13 and 14 to finish out the lap here. Connor Rabel looking nicely and solid so far. This will be at least a good banker.
Yeah, looking nice and smooth for sure. Definitely, I think these drivers, well, they might be 50-50. I don't think they won't want to go through oval turn number 1 again. Instead, actually looking like a real course sort of corners. He slides the rears a little bit coming out of 14. You have to look for that. I saw a lot of drivers in practice sliding those rears out of that final corner. 131.295, obviously at the top for now, as Rob Ackley will be the next to put a time down to 32.591, about 1.3 seconds off for Ackley.
Rob Ackley, one to keep an eye on for, as he is a playoff driver, him and Rabel, the only two with the times listed so far. But it seemed like that 28 car might be one to beat, him or the 7 of Scioli, because got to go back to Mid-Ohio. Those two had quite the battle, although things can change here. And another thing I have to keep an eye on for is pit stops, because we saw Cup guys go 30 laps on the tank of fuel. Can only imagine what the Lodgebox cars are going to do with the fuel run.
John Furness to the top of the board, a 137.25 by half a second over now Greg Mitchell and Chris Rabel. Tommy Ryan goes 4th quick. Rob Ackley down to the bottom of the order. Colin Fambro, this is an important night for him to get some good points. A 134.148. That is going to be not a great lap. He'll have to go again. And Connor, the worst thing to do here is to push and try to make up time on your second lap because you'll end up overdriving the car. But through turn 1 pretty efficiently that time.
Yeah, good right there. You only beat yourself by pushing too hard. We'll see how he gets through the next few corners. He's going to keep it nice and tidy, not really go all the way left as he might want to. In fact, he's going to stay right so he can get the best angle he can through this chicane. Very important to, if you can straight line that as much as you can, get the best run down this, I guess what you can call a back straightaway. Fambro did a really good job there.
Fambro, really good on the short tracks. Road courses, not really his thing. It might be a challenging night for him. He was one of the few playoff drivers who did not score a top 10 back at Mid-Ohio. Struggled quite a bit in that one. Finished 18th there after starting 20th. So we'll have to see how this race goes for him. Indy Road Course might be the liking to some rather than other drivers. Could be the liking to Elwood here, 3rd quickest on his first lap. And how about Greg Mitchell, 2nd quick for him?
Yeah, he really is pretty impressive. Greg Mitchell in that number 2, another playoff competitor. Here's James Scioli, and he is just setting up for his first of 2 laps. He rolls through turn number 13, setting himself up a very slow outlap, similar to what we saw with the 28, Connor, protecting those rear tires for when it counts the most.
Yeah, he's protecting the rear tires. Fambro couldn't do that on his second lap. Fambro came across the line at 32.731. That'll put him about 8 for now, so he's going to have work to do. A little bit off the pace as a 7, like you're talking about. Very smooth, one of the most smooth drivers. That's why he's one of the fastest drivers on road courses, as he really flies it into turn number 1 with really no squirreliness whatsoever. Little squirrely, popped the curb a little bit out of turn number 2. That might cost him.
Scioli almost had a shot to win in the Cup Series this past Monday. He had an incident on pit road where he didn't get all the fuel in the car. Pitted late.
Wow.
Oh, we just broke through that.
But might have gotten away with that. Carry on, Hunter.
I was going to say, he had a shot to win Monday with Ricky Springer. It seemed like it was going to be a battle between those two. Didn't get enough fuel in the car for his only pit stop. And then just all that forward and basically got last place points in that one. So hoping that we don't see that tonight. I mean, it seemed like it was going to be a good battle there. I can only imagine what it's going to be tonight for him if he say he gets the pole, dominates, and then same thing happens to him where he doesn't get enough fuel in the car. I can't imagine he'd all at 4.
Well, he knows
Again.
that possibility now, so maybe it'll prevent it from happening tonight. Nice run through turn 12. If he was able to get away with that big cut through turns 5 and 6, that was going to be a pretty lucky lap, I'd say. Throttles up, looking pretty good. Justin Munsell, by the way, goes second fastest. And he's on another flying lap right now, so he's coming to complete his second lap, which could be quicker. We've seen a couple drivers improve. Here's Scioli across the line at 1:30.708. That will put him to the top of the board. Provisional pole for the 7.
Munsell just pulls it into pit road, so he's not going to complete that second lap. Very, very strong, most likely pole run. Still got a few drivers to go, but Scioli at the top of the pylon. I don't know if it works at Indy. It didn't work last week. But anyways, a very fast lap, and it almost looked like he made a mistake through turn 2, but maybe that chicane gave him that time back to get that pole position, provisional pole position for now.
Well, ironic that the 7 and 28, big slide there from Harden in the 15. Ironic that the 7 and 28 are in the front 2 spots. Over in the Twitch chat, the poll question for tonight's race is, who will win tonight's race? The 7 and 28? I'm pretty sure either the 7 or the 28 or the field. You can bet with exclamation point bet and enter the numbers 728 or all in one word, the field. THEFIELD. Wages as little as 10 channel points up to 10,000 channel points.
Wage them all on the 7 and 28. That's what I'm going to say right now. But Scioli on his second lap through here. I don't know if he'll be able to beat it. I don't think he has to. I don't think there's anyone left that's going to knock him off the board here. Jeff Ryan is just starting a lap. I don't think he's going to get to finish, and Scioli's going to pull right in the pit lanes. This is all going to come down to the start of this race and keeping the rear tires on it. Connor, we saw Monday night that Ricky Springer was the driver that got victory lane there, and he did pass Scioli the fair way. He passed him under green flag conditions, and then Scioli got the lead back with that short fuel pit stop that ended up losing him the race. But rear tire management is still a big deal, and even the experienced road racers, a couple too many slides, and they'll find themselves in the same spot.
It's so easy to make a mistake. We never know who might make them. We might see those two push themselves too hard and go off. You just never know. We're going to have to wait and see what happens. And seeing Scioli in the pit road, we're talking about how getting through turn 1 and keeping the rear tires on are very important. But once these drivers most likely make pit stops, that's going to be important too. It's important for Scioli to go into pit road like that. Munsell as well. Practice your pit entry. Very different pit entry and a very different commit line. I don't think the commit line at the very entrance of that access road is the line, but you really don't want to pull out back into the grass, so those drivers are going to have to make sure they're ready to give it all they got on that access road before they get to those cones. You can make up a lot of time if you know how to play the game right.
I was going to say, pit road is a little bit challenging here, because if you go a little bit wide, either getting past that line over by turn 13 or just through the right-hand turn to get on the pit road, that could end your day, could cost you some time. And always got to remember to not slide into your pit box. Mention that the brakes here, some drivers complain about how these brakes are worse than the Cup cars. So you don't want to slide into your pit box, as you might slide over it, and you're going to lose valuable time doing that.
Well, warm-up is underway. We'll be racing here in just a couple of minutes. In a 35-lap race at a minute 30 a lap, you're looking at a 45 to 50-minute race, and no cautions scheduled for tonight at all. No incidents will bring out a caution flag as well. Fans, be sure to visit Roasted Gems Coffee for some of the finest coffee from all over the world. Use discount code AREAIRACING for 10% off your order at roastedgems.com. We're going to bring you up your starting grid here in just a couple of minutes' time, but a couple last looks at some weather information. Connor, it is 95-degree track temp. That's not the coolest it can be. It's also not that hot, and this racetrack is so greasy when it's toasty that I think the drivers are going to be happy it's not 115, 120 like we would see on the oval on a hot summer day.
Well, they're happy it's not in Sonoma. We'd be seeing those temperatures in Sonoma, and we no doubt about it. But like you said, pretty cool. And these drivers are going to be very thankful for it being cool, because you can go offline here. You get the rear tires hot once in those types of conditions, and you are done for the rest of the run. You might as well short pit, but you have a little bit more leeway with how you use the rear tires. But even then, with the cool conditions, you need to keep those rear tires on. It's not going to be easy.
And here's a look at the point standings once more before we get this thing started. Seems like, gotta keep an eye on Garrett Grant too in the 5. Is he even in this field? I don't know if.
I thought I saw him. He is there. Yes.
Qualified 14th.
Ah, okay. Well, he didn't get a top 10 on the road course either. So a couple of drivers did not get top 10s on the road course. Those being Garrett Grant, Colin Fambro. I believe there's one more in there. One more in there that I can't name off the top of my list, but most of the drivers got top 10 back in Mid-Ohio, and I would expect the same here tonight.
So the field getting set to go racing. We have a full pace lap, so we won't rush into our gridding process here just yet. Quick look at the race analysis. 35 laps minus our pace lap. Just about 81 miles or so around here. 20 drivers in the field, Connor. And, of course, altitude roughly 700 feet just outside of the city of Indianapolis. Looking around at the scenes here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, there's a look at turn 12 and the runoff, little extra loop portion that we'll probably see a couple drivers end up taking.
Yeah, I saw some drivers. I saw Ricky Harden do that in qualifying. And by the way, the other playoff driver who didn't get top 10 at Mid-Ohio, Shane Therian, got 14th. I think he had fuel issues, though, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, we're going to have to be really looking out for drivers overshooting the turns. I've seen a few drivers already struggle with practice and qualifying, but the drivers at the front certainly having no struggles. A 7 and 28, looking to beat the battle for the win at the road course once again. But Munsell, Mitchell, Elwood probably have something to say about him. Want to see what Elwood does here. It was him and Scioli. That's what to talk about. The last week to talk about them, separated by 3 points for the regular season title. I believe Elwood got it, if I'm not mistaken. Elwood got it, but now it's all 7 and 28. So Alan Elwood, not the best at road courses, but he's certainly no slouch, qualifying 5th. We'll see if he can respond and get into the battle.
So a very long front straightaway. That's all I can tell you. Look at how tiny those cars are. And again, you get up to about 172, maybe 175 in the draft. And you're, Connor, you're slowing this thing down from 175 down to about 30 to 40 miles an hour. And it is an extraordinary challenge to do that without wheel hopping and downshifting an H-pattern gearbox.
Yeah, it's definitely not fun from experience practicing these cars, and really any car myself. Not fun to have to nail that braking zone. You have to find your point, your braking point, and once you realize where it is, you have to remember it every single time, just like any other track. But it's especially a big struggle here because whether you're in a draft, whether you're behind people, whether you're in front of people, that braking point might change ever so slightly, and where you usually brake, it might really screw you up, so you got to be careful.
All right, let's roll through our starting lineup here tonight. Kicking things off with our front row. And we already mentioned it in qualifying. It was a flying lap by James Scioli, a 1:37.08, puts him on pole. John Furness, who he fought with at Mid-Ohio, starts alongside him in second.
And then row number 2, the highest qualifying non-playoff driver, Justin Munsell in the 20 Crumble Cookie Supra. He qualifies 3rd. Alongside him, Greg Mitchell, another playoff driver. He starts 4th.
5th place, Alan Elwood, the regular season champ, rolls off in P5 in the number 49. Chris Rabel starts in 6th in the number 29.
The lowest ranked playoff driver coming in tonight, 6 behind. It's kind of crazy saying that because it's Cameron Hearn, who's had so many chances to win but hasn't been able to pull it off. He starts 7th. Alongside him, another playoff driver, Shane Therian, who finished 14th at Mid-Ohio, like we talked about.
Travis Beckner starts in 9th in the number 27. Tommy Ryan starts 10th in the number 99.
Interested to see what Rob Ackley can do, starting 11th just outside the top 10 on row number 6. Alongside him, the 69 machine of AJ Roger.
13th place is Colin Fambro in the number 18. He could use a good night and a good finish tonight. Garrett Grant is in the same boat. Right now he's in the top 8 cut line, but not by much. He starts 14th.
I believe a few non-playoff drivers who did put a time down. 15th place, Ricky Hart, and then the one machine of Steve Durham.
Behind them in 17th place, Forrest Smith in the number 84. And Jeff Ryan in the number 37 starts 18th.
Last row of the field tonight, row number 10, rounding out the field, Matthew Cochran in the 4 Brass Pro Shops Camaro, Jacob Hudson in his Supra.
That rounds out the field, Hunter. I know it's, in your mind, it's probably the 7 or the 28. Who's your favorite, though, of those two? Or is there anybody else on your short list of who could get this done?
Well, I got numbers here. Numbers don't lie. So, said Scioli's led 92 of the 108 laps available to lead on these road courses, which is a staggering 85%. And as mentioned, he's won the last 3 road course races, so make it 4 in a row here for Scioli on the road courses.
And Connor, your pick for the race tonight.
I think it's going to be hard to beat Scioli, especially since he's going to have the track position early on, but I cannot count out John Furness. Scioli got physical with him to beat him at Mid-Ohio. We'll see what the 28's willing to do to lock himself into the next round.
I'm going to go the opposite way. I'm going to take the 28. I think he's in a really good spot. He's won a couple of races this stage. I think he's ready to go win another one here at the IMS road course. 35 laps from start to finish, 53 minutes from green to checkered. And Scioli on the inside. He's going to have the preferred line of the run down to turn 1. And it is a run down to turn 1, and then it turns into a crawl as everybody slows on down. And green flag will be in the hands of Scioli. And we are launching and racing at the IMS road course. Green flag flies and racing in the playoffs for the area Lodgebox series. Look at Travis Beckner, and in the background, a big lockup from somebody in the background. Was that Garrett Grant? Look at Hearn up the middle, 27 on the outside, Rabel on the inside. Through turn 1 clean so far. I think everybody got through there clean.
I don't know how, but they were able to make it work. Still couldn't see who that was locking up. It was way in the back. I think it was Garrett Grant, but no contact made. Everyone keeps it clean.
Well, now they're heading through 5 and 6. Mostly, well, it seems like all of them are going through single file, as I don't know how you could do side by side here, but they head down the long back straight into turn 7, where the 7 leads them through. Big
slide from the 27 into turn 4. He got it gathered back up. Furness still chasing Scioli, Mitchell, Munsell, Alan Elwood. Then it's Hearn, Beckner, Rabel, Therian, and Tommy Ryan, the rest of your top 10. And in the early moments, your car is going to drive great, Connor, but as you go on, those rear tires you're going to start to feel. Jacob Hudson has had a spin down here at turn number 7. Here's a look.
He was running 20th. Looks like he might have had wheel hop or something. Loops and gets back going. Really no harm, no foul. As Steve Durham live in the turn 12 has hit the outside wall as you see him stopped in the foreground.
Oh, well, gotta take a look at that.
Here it is. Ooh, loose onto the banking, yep, and then overcorrects and then pow into the outside wall. And the 37 might have gotten a little bit of a piece of it, but he scrapes on through.
Jacob Hudson spun once again, same corner, but no contact. He keeps it clean, but as you can see, he is definitely one of the guys who are on the struggle bus tonight, as everything's still clean at the front. Top 5 still Scioli, Furness in that order. Greg Mitchell's jumped to 3rd over Justin Munsell. Alan Elwood stayed in 5th place.
Yeah, the Fazekas teammates there, Mitchell and Furness, still running 2nd and 3rd. Going to be good points day there for the Fazekas guys if they can hold on to their positions. Still early on here, got 35 laps. And here comes Fambro, almost into the grass, looking side by side with 69 of AJ Roderick for 12th.
Got good overlap here heading into turn 7. He's going to complete that pass before they even get there. And Roderick will try to cross him over. I just don't think he's going to have the pace to do so right now.
Whoa, Garrett Grant. Sorry about that, to cut you off. I thought Garrett Grant was going to try a little bit of a dive into those right-left corners, but he thought better of it. He's got Ricky Harden all over him. This is all for the 12th position.
There's Munsell, falling back another spot. Take a look at a replay of how he lost another spot.
I wonder if he cut turn 10 maybe? Yeah, he did. He got to slow down there for chopping turn 10 a little bit tight. It's really easy to get greedy there, and Colin Fambro has had an issue.
Yeah, he's dropped way back. Didn't see what happened. Might have another slide out of 11, and he's just going to completely overcook the corner.
What? Didn't go in the grass.
Kept it on track at least, but can't be making those mistakes, especially in his position. He needs points.
So James Scioli leads over John Furness. Furness is keeping the gap pretty tight, though. It's under half a second. It's actually come down a little bit. So he's keeping Scioli on his toes here, Hunter, but it's going to be an all-out brawl probably most of the race, just like we saw on Monday with a different group involving Scioli.
As long as these two don't make any mistakes on pit road, it should be a all-out brawl from start to finish. As, boy, look at the closing distance from the 28 of Furness into turn 7. Trying to catch the 7 of not Furness. He is Furness. Trying to catch the 7 of Scioli.
Yeah, and you know what's something interesting about the braking in these cars? You typically hear a lot of people say slow in, fast out. It almost doesn't work with these cars because you're so rear grip limited, Connor, that fast out isn't really an option. As Munsell has a big moment, as exactly what I'm talking about. You're grip limited in the rear, so if you can charge the braking zone, these things are so ungodly heavy, and they don't want to make these corners. That time in the braking zone you can make up, and without sacrificing your corner exit if you do it just right.
Yeah, it's almost like you want to do the opposite of what you're always taught. You want to go screaming fast in and tiptoe slow out, especially in these Xfinity cars. It's really nothing like it with the rear grip, like you were talking about being so limited. It's really only option for making up time, because trying to make up time out of a corner, you're just going to put yourself in a hole for the long run. Sort of what Munsel's doing right now. The more rear end slides he has, the worse he's going to be, even in 6 laps time when he's absolutely struggling to keep the car under him. Oh, Furness had a big slide through 1. Another driver we're going to have to keep an eye on. He was good with saving tires at Mid-Ohio, but that's not going to help.
You want to take care of the rear, because if you start losing the rear this early in the run, oh, you're in for one treat.
Here's Cameron Hearn under fire from Travis Beckner. Beckner's up a couple of spots. Had a really aggressive start, and his progress has stalled a little bit behind Cameron Hearn.
I think he's actually the biggest mover, albeit only 2 positions up, but movement is movement. He's going to go a little bit for a kind of a tricky move, kind of fake Hearn out, going to get to the inside of him. He's going to go wide a little bit, and Hearn's going to be able to keep the position into the right-hander.
Well, for now, right behind those two, you got Chris Rabel just lurking, waiting for something to happen. Seems like something always happens with Beckner in another car. Cameron Hearn, car in front of him, as we ride in car with Beckner. He slows down to get into turn 11.
Stayed in second gear there. He knew to leave some margin and not to be right up on the 67's rear bumper here. Door opens up the inside at 13, throttled up, and he's got some overlap here.
I think he caught Hearn by surprise there, but he's going to have to try to cross over again out of 14. He's going to try it, but I don't think he's going to be able to do it. He's really pushing on the exit while Hearn's really kind of just saving his rear stuff, but Beckner wants by, and he wants by now.
I don't think Hearn minded that, because he knew he had the preferred line heading out of the last corner. But heading into the first corner, Beckner's got the preferred lines. He's going to try and slow things down. Don't want to Ross Chastain it and just completely overshoot the first corner. Still door-to-doors. They're going through 2. Rabel still lurking. Oh, Beckner's still lurking down on the bottom as they head into turn 4.
He's got it. Had to muscle his way by a little bit, but picks up position number 6. Now Rabel, smelling blood in the water from the wounded Hearn, is only a couple tenths behind.
It was a heck of a move by Beckner to stay to the inside and outside and keep his line. And he's going to probably pull away from these two, barring any mistakes, as, like you said, Rabel looking to take advantage of a 67 sort of struggling in the early going.
Saw the big wiggle there coming out of turn 6 for Hearn. They didn't get a good back straight. That's what allowed the 29 to close in just a tad bit. Meanwhile, in the background, you see the 38 and the 99. It's Therian and Ryan almost duking it out for the 9th spot. Tommy Ryan, mentioned, got 5th at Mid-Ohio, but right behind him, Rob Ackley looked like he got a little loose there. Therian up in the 9th, back to Ackley in 11th.
Into turn 12 again. Up front, the gap is about 0.6 of a second. So Furness is staying tight with Scioli, but that gap has gone back to the 7 for a moment. Scioli having some connectivity problems, and that's an extended one. That makes me nervous here, as Munsell and Elwood, they're giving each other plenty of space down the front straight, Connor, into turn 1.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Munsell was still faster after cutting a corner. I think Elwood just wanted to get by him, let him by, excuse me, and didn't really want to bother with him, so Munsell backed up 4th. Looking at Greg Mitchell, still having a solid run. He's not really losing the top 2. He's a little bit slower, but definitely still within reach.
Well, Rabel has Hearn on his radar. The Hearn machine, see if he can get through turn 5 and 6 here better than last lap.
They're getting really aggressive with that shortcut at 5 and 6. And that makes me nervous, because that's a big slowdown to pick up if you cut that. I'm not sure I want to be that aggressive there. I don't know how much time it's gaining you to shortcut that by that much.
Especially when you're sort of right behind someone. There's really no reason to. If you're going to make up time, it's not going to be in that chicane. So my opinion, there's no really need to push it hard. If you know your limit's good, but trying to push it further, I don't know if that's really needed.
Yeah, turn 10 is another area like that. We just passed it, but you can gain a little bit by cutting turn 10, but you can lose a lot, and it just takes one slight miscalculation. These cars are wide. It's hard to know where the edges of the cars are, Hunter, and get that margin just right.
Indeed. So we see the 69 of AJ Roderick. Don't see him too much on these road courses, but still loves to go out to him. Right behind a playoff contender in Rob Ackley.
You know what's interesting is that all of our playoff competitors are in the top 15 right now, Connor. They're performing when they need to and not getting themselves caught up in any unnecessary incidents. Since the green flag, we've only seen a couple of small, minor single-car problems, and that's good news for the playoff competitors to keep as much of this as driver focus as possible, and without the threat of cautions and restarts and things of the sort. This might be a wild card that is the most predictable race of the playoffs.
Yeah, predictable race at Indy Road Course. Who would have expected that? wasn't on my bingo card, but Rob Ackley, we saw in the front stretch another driver just getting out of the way, not making a pass into turn one harder than it needs to be. That was AJ Roderick who got by, and a few more playoff drivers battling cleanly so far. Rabel and Therian are on top of each other. 38 Machine's been all over Rabel for the 8th position, as Hearn's kind of gotten away from Rabel.
Bit by bit, he's been improving each lap, and that's allowed him to break away from the 29. But now in the grasp of the 29 is the 38 of Shane Therian. Mentioned was one of the few drivers did not get a top 10 at Mid-Ohio, but looking solid here in the 9th spot, trying to take 8th away, see if he can force Rabel into a mistake here.
Into the downshifts here, Rabel runs a little bit wide, but that's kind of the racing line here. Therian keeps it tight to get ahead of him on the steering for 13, and Rabel misses the corner. It's going to open up the opportunity for Therian to cross him over. A lot of this, there's so many switchback sections here at the IMS road course, Connor, that if you can get ahead of the steering of the guy ahead of you, you're going to be in a great spot to chase him down on the straightaways.
You almost get to have him at your mercy. You keep switching back. He doesn't know which lane to really protect. You really throw him off his game like the 38 of Therian has done. He's doing a good job of doing that, but still hasn't found a way to really actually challenge the 29 for the position quite yet. Hasn't really made any sort of move to go for the position. Just kind of trying to set up Rabel, seeing what the 29's doing and what he's not doing. Car stopped as they go by. The Jacob Hudson, maybe calling it a night, stopped over there. I think must have used the Chastain entrance, but as these two still battle.
Close to it. I think he just overshot the corner. No, he just spun.
Then he must have just gotten it off the track.
Looks like it. Tough night for Jacob Hudson. He was struggling in practice too. This is a challenging technical track, and for some people it just does not click. And it's not necessarily a representation of their talent level. It's just a very hard, slick, flat racetrack that does not have a lot of camber or anything to the corners. So you're just really leaning on the grip of the tires, which if you overheat them the slightest bit, you have none of.
We really have both worlds tonight. You have the guys who are really good at this stuff and they're made for this, like Scully and Furness, and the guys like Hudson or Steve Durham, who's getting laps now, Matthew Cochran, those guys who are just kind of out the luncheon here just to pick up a few points and keep it clean. Just really hard to get a hold of a track that's so technical like this.
Well, in the midst of all that, Ackley lost a spot to AJ Roderick, and Fambro and Grant just swapped positions. Grant down to 14th now. Take a look back, see what happened to the 5.
At turn 12, I think, just overcooked this, locked it up. And again, as we talked about on Monday, once you lock up a front tire, it is really difficult to get it to unlock without completely releasing the brake pedal and resetting your braking system. It is so challenging to pulsate that. We saw, I can't remember who it was the 91 of Nichols, I think, that was kind of doing some self-applied ABS into turn 12, where he was releasing and pushing and releasing and pushing to try to gain grip back. It's just so hard once you lose that grip in that front tire.
Dang near impossible. I would chalk it up to impossible. It's just about. It's so difficult. You're pretty much along for the ride at that point with nothing you can do. So I guess props to Nichols for being able to do that. I've never heard of that happening, but that's why he's been dominating the Cup Series for the most part this season.
Well, closing in the gap now is Furness, back to around 5 car lengths, was at 4. Goes a little wider there through the turns, trying to get himself a better exit.
Listening to his throttle inputs, though, he's being very smooth. He's not spinning the tires at all. That could be key here as Roderick and Ryan trade spots once again. Good battle here, and Rob Ackley getting back into the mix. But want to keep our eyes on those leaders, because who will burn off their tires more? We're enough into this race that if you were abusing them, it'd be pretty obvious. But it's getting tight.
Sorry, Steve Durham was trying to get out of the way of everyone, and he pushed Shane Therian way wide through 14. I thought we were going to see a crash. That's why I reacted that way.
Cool. Close exit there for the 99 of Ryan, who lost a spot to AJ Roderick, who's now moved inside the top 10. riding on board with the 99 here as he slows it down to about 50 miles an hour to get into one.
And you're going to leave it in second gear here. You don't need the extra wheel speed to get out of turn one. You're going to leave it in second so that you're bogging down the motor a little bit on purpose, that you don't spin the tires out. Really won't even touch first gear here at IMS, or any road course for that matter. And there was a point, Connor, I think you probably remember this, that got a little tight at the exit of 7. You probably remember a time at Sonoma when you could spin the tires in fourth gear everywhere.
Yeah, and it was not fun whatsoever, but it's definitely something that was able to happen there as locked up in front of Ryan. It's going to let the 99 take advantage for that position. It's a crash. Roderick just hit Steve Durham, who spun in the turn out of turn 7.
There's a look at it.
Seems like the one that's having quite an issue here tonight. He goes really wide there through 7.
In the grass, he's going to come right back in front of the 69.
Oh. Dinked him.
Just a little touch, but we'll see how much damage that did to Roderick's car. I don't see a ton, but it was on the right front. There it is. Shouldn't hurt him that bad, but certainly didn't help him. He lost a couple of spots.
Yeah, it was just unfortunate timing. It's so kind of hard to get out of the way at Indy unless you if you don't catch them on the straightaways, there's nowhere to hide. You have to let them by on the straightaways, because through these windy corners, through the chicane, through 12, 13, 14, which is probably the worst time to do it. If you don't get it done on the straightaways, you're going to have a bad time.
Whoa, Elwood sideways
Wow.
through turn 4, and Travis Beckner chasing him. And they're going to be door-to-door here through the chicane.
Yeah, they thought better of that. Beckner thought better of that. Not going to happen there as he loses that time he gained there. Smart on them. Beckner chased down Elwood from a ways back as well to go for this top 5 position. We'll see how long Elwood could hold on, but it seems like he's struggling even to get into the corners.
Mitchell trying to hold on to third from Munsell, who's dropped like a, well, I wouldn't say dropped like a rock. He's dropped a spot or two since the start of this race. Applied pressure there, getting into 7, but the 2 prevails.
Back to the Beckner and Elwood battle. This is not over yet. I think Beckner is a lot quicker right now. Elwood on the brakes here a little earlier than Beckner. Beckner closes in. Only a matter of time in this kind of scenario, Connor. So how hard do you fight this if you're the 49? You'll burn up your stuff if you try to out-accelerate the 27 right now.
Well, Elwood let Munsell by, so depending on what he feels he needs to do for points, because he's in the playoffs, he might let the 27 by, but Beckner's not really close enough to have an actual look into turn 1. I don't think Elwood has any interest in pulling over this time, so he's going to fight this as long as he can, but like you said, that 27's pretty fast at this part in the run right now. Whoa, Elwood sliding a lot there, and he has no choice but to let Beckner by there.
Work down the end for Beckner. Moves into the top 5. Taking another look at this with our SimRap marker replay.
On the binders into turn 1 here. Watch the right front tire. Right. He didn't even lock it. Oh, a little bit there, but it was already sideways going into the corner. It probably had a lot of front or rear brake bias in there, Connor, and it didn't actually lock the front. It kind of locked up the rears.
Yeah, it almost looked like Will Hobb, the way he sort of slid and had no control whatsoever. AJ Roderick comes down the pit road to repair damage, actually misses his stall a little bit there, but that was definitely a case of we're seeing the rear tire wear start to come into play, because Elwood had really nothing out of the corner as much as he didn't have anything into the corner. So those two are probably going to battle for that 6th position soon enough, Elwood and Hearn, because those are both drivers who are struggling with the rears. I've seen Hearn slide out of 10 numerous times. Actually, yes, that was the right quarter number. Out of 10, a lot of times he's struggling.
Beckner now looking to get a move on, try to catch up to Justin Munsell, about 5 seconds behind him.
Munsell's pitting, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, I think at this point, guys, pit window's well and truly open, so why not come down and just get it over with at this stage? And Scioli, that's something for him to consider, is John Furness behind him. When do you make that pit stop as the leader? Right now, Scioli's looking pretty good on the long run. This is kind of fading back to what we saw at Mid-Ohio, where over the longer run, Scioli was a little bit better than John Furness.
In fairness, it's really been the last 2 laps where he's lost this track position. Now over 2-second gap where he really was on the rear bumper of the 7 for the longest time, but he's lost that. So more and more, he's going to have to think about that pit stop, because it was almost looking like he might be able to only jump the 7 by 1 lap, but even with the tires falling off about 2 seconds in 13 laps, he might still be able to undercut him by a lap and get the lead, but you got to pull it off perfectly. You don't really want to be in that spot if you're Furness.
Well, his teammate Greg Mitchell having a solid night, staying out of trouble, quiet, running third, and he's in the playoffs, so this is a really good point stay for him if he can keep this up.
Top 12 are all playoff drivers. All top 12, all the playoff drivers are in the top 12, I should say. And they're just having a good race for the most part. Roderick is retired in the 69. Jacob Hudson, I think, is also retiring. Steve Durham is in pit lane as well. We'll see if he returns to the racetrack. I don't know, Connor. I don't like the undercut strategy. I know it would get him the lead in the short term, but it is a losing strategy at a track like this, I think. You're just going to burn your stuff up even faster and just make a bad problem even worse. If he can outlast Scioli, that might be better. But then, then you're going to be fighting not having enough laps left in a race this short.
And Chris Rebel just really overshot turn 11. That's why I made a noise, but he gets it back going, no harm, no foul. But I think you're right. I don't think the undercut's the play here. At a track this slippery, the tire wear is even worse because of how slippery the rears are at this sort of track. I just don't see that really working out for anyone who tries it. We'll see what Munsell does. He has the luxury to do this. He has no points on the line, not in the playoffs. He can do what he wants, and if it works for him, great. If it doesn't, oh well. He threw the kitchen sink at it, as anyone would say. But for the playoff drivers, I don't think it's worth it, and I don't think it's worth it for the drivers at the front at all. This might be a situation where you run the fuel empty, to be honest.
I kind of agree. I would have run the fuel as much as I could up until I know that I'm about a lap short or so. Or running out, needing to pit. Seems like tires are going to be more of a factor here rather than pitting on the short run. That mentioned, yeah, you'll be in front of them, but for how long? And then they pit until they're out of fuel, then they chase you down like nothing ever happened.
It's almost bizarre to me how much more tires are a conversation tonight than on Monday. Remember, we had almost effectively no tire degradation in terms of lap time over the course of a run on Monday, and I thought that was strange. Strange to the point of not making any sense. This is what I'd expect here. A low grip, slippery surface that is chewing up rubber. Scioli and Furness, they are both about 2.5 seconds off their best laps of the night, which is about what I'd expect.
Well, that's the big difference between the Cup cars and the Xfinity cars. The Xfinity cars still have tire wear that takes 2-3 seconds off your times at road courses. The Cup Series tire, it's been weird for a while. We've even seen it in the Coca-Cola iRacing Series, as Hearn hit the wall in the front straightaway, not too hard, but it's weird how the tires don't wear to the point where you won't even need to take tires ever, almost any road course, which is still odd. Obviously not the norm in real life. It's just how the tire in iRacing reacts on that Cup car, which is a weird scenario, but it makes those weird strategies really the norm in that car. In the Xfinity car, it's just not that way at all. It's still the way it's always been, where you need tires after about 5 laps, it seems.
One of the first playoff drivers to come down and pit, Chris Rabel. Seems like it'll be 4 tires, full tank of fuel. Don't want to overslide the pit box.
Oh, or underslide it.
Yeah, that too.
Under is better than over.
That is true. Now, the pit lane here. Ooh.
No fuel? No tires,
he didn't even stop. It didn't even register a stop, Connor. I have no time registered in my timing and scoring. Just rolled through pit lane, essentially, so that was very strange. A fuel-only stop would not be the strategy to do anyway. And he did. I don't have any recorded. I have a pit lane time of 51.9, but nothing in the box.
That's a really key mistake if he wasn't able to do anything. The fuel only would still not make sense, but not anything not happening, that's going to really kill his run. He was looking pretty solid where he was, but he's going to lose plenty of time doing that. His Cameron Bird's going to pit now.
Now, what would you do if you're in his situation, Connor? Would you just stay out until you run out of fuel, or would you just come in this time by?
Well, I'd probably throw a few expletives out there after that, but Steve Durham's gone for a spin. But as far as strategy goes, I think at that point, you kind of have to come in. I don't see pushing further really doing any benefit. You might as well just correct your mistake and get it over with. I'm just so confused because I've never seen that happen. It's not like he wasn't in his box, because he undershot it and then got into his box and nothing happened after that. Yeah. See if he comes in this time.
It's almost like he tried to align it and it didn't take it. Instead of trying to realign it, he just left, which I don't know that that's what I would have tried, but he's going to stay out. So maybe something we don't know, or timing didn't capture it, but he was only in there for a second. He couldn't even take in the fuel that he needed in that amount of time, I don't think.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't see that being enough fuel, as Hearn did what we expect, 4 tires and fuel. He's now going to get out of pit road. Actually, excuse me. Now he's going to get out of pit road because cones are a little further down. Got to be careful on your pit exit as well. Don't go shallow. You get a corner cut. So we'll see what the 29 does.
Here comes the 28. 28's coming. Second place, John Furness. He lost about 4 seconds to Scioli from the closest point that he was racing. And he's going to hit pit lane, and his teammate's going to stay out on the racetrack this time.
I do like what Rabel's doing. He's going to just stay out until the fuel runs out. Going to have the fresh tires towards the end of the race rather than pit now and then have 20 more laps on his tires compared to majority of the field.
You mean Hearn?
No, Rabel. Because yeah.
Failed pit stop.
Yes.
Okay.
Write that down. Hey, if it works for him, I'll write it down in my book and use it.
I guess so.
I mean, I would do the same thing if I were him, so we'll see how that works out.
He's going to take tires.
Garrett Grant, Justin Munsell battling for 10th. Munsell has pit. Garrett Grant has not, so that'll be an easy overtake. And it looks like Grant's going to help facilitate this pass as well.
Yeah, no point to make it any harder than it is. Old tires versus new. That's not going to work in turn number 1, as just behind them is where Furness will come out. And somewhat clean air, but he will have to get by the 20 and the 5. Way easier to get by the 20, but he has to get through the 5.
Other way around?
The other way around, yes. It'll be easier to get by the 5. But Munsell, I don't think Munsell put up too much of a fight. Times have already dropped 2 seconds for him. He was the earliest of the hitters.
Here's Hearn. Looking down low on Rabel in the 1.
Here comes Scioli. He's going to pit now. He's not even going to give Furness the chance.
Good call. I don't know how quickly he needed to make that. I would have actually opted to stay out a few more laps and make sure I have even fresher tires. There was no danger to his lead. And even if he lost the lead, he would gain it back pretty quickly with the 3 or 4 lap fresher tires. So if I were him, I would have stayed out a little longer. I think he's still going to pop out leading the race, and it's not going to matter. But he could have won or led by more, I think, if he had stayed out a few more laps.
I think you're right. I would agree with that. I think his lead was about 4 seconds. The fall off for Scioli over the entire run, trying to look at the 7s times. His fastest lap on 130.8, and he was down to 133.4. So it is about 2.5 seconds. So he probably still would have came out behind the 28, but 2 lap pressure tires makes a whole world of difference, which is kind of shocking to think about, but that is the case. Garrett Grant comes down pit road. Furness already got by him. He's still behind Munsell. We'll see where these two come out compared to each other, the 7 and 28, as Greg Mitchell assumed the race lead through all that.
Got a bonus point too, so that helps him out in the points as well. Beckner 3 seconds now behind Mitchell. Ackley Grant on pit road as the 27 continues to work his way around the Indianapolis road course.
So Scioli just popped out of pit lane ahead of Munsell and Furness, and he's got, of course, a couple lap fresher tires, 5 lap fresher than Munsell, 1 lap fresher than John Furness. So Furness did make up some ground here, but I think it's going to be short-term gain, long-term loss for the 28 car. But Scioli is firmly in control of this one, and as we saw with run number 1, he seems to be a little bit easier on the tires in a longer run, and this is even longer now to the end from here than it was to pit lane the first time.
Yeah, Furness almost needed him to stay out an extra lap just so he got the lead in the track position, but not getting out ahead of a 7 at all pretty much renders his strategy useless and completely over at this point. So he's just kind of got to focus on making sure he doesn't make any mistakes, staying in second, and hoping for a mistake from Scioli.
We're going to ride it out and see how it plays out in the end for him, see if he can manage to still get inside the top 5 and come home with a strong point stay for that 28 car.
Other drivers on pit lane, looks like Mitchell and Beckner and a few others have decided to come on down. That will turn the lead over to Alan Elwood and Shane Therian this time by. They're down at first sector. And also should note that coming into the night, remember Cameron Hearn was at the bottom of the playoff field. He's in 10th. He's the 4th to last playoff driver. Connor, I think he needed a little bit better of a night, so I think he's hoping he can pick up a few positions here before the day is done. He's done pitting, and we'll see if he can gain some of those back.
Also got front end damage, which I don't see where that came from, but it was only a couple laps ago. See how that affects him. I don't think it'll hurt too much, but with being cool, the temp should be fine. But yes, I do think he needed a bit of a better night. I expected a little bit more from him, but he just hasn't gotten a hang of this road course. As Justin Munsell's gone around just before the chicane, as there's Hearn's front end damage. Not sure what happened to Munsell. I think it might have been contact with John Furness, if anything.
Oh, yes. Here's a look at it. This is a battle for second. Munsell was kind of trying to cling to it. Furness right behind him, and then into turn 4, dives up in there. They just kind of ran out of space together.
Bit of an awkward contact there.
I'd say.
Furness wasn't really as shallow as Munsell expected him to be. I think he expected Furness to be on the curb, and he kind of missed that curb. He kind of missed the corner how I would take it by a little bit, just shoving it into the corner too quickly.
Yeah, he saw the door open and jammed up the inside. You see the tire lock. Didn't mean to do it, but just saw the opportunity and knew he needed to get by and pushed a little too hard and knocked the 20 out of the way.
Reminiscent of Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen.
But much
in
slower.
a way. Much slower, yeah, much slower. At about probably
and John Furness,
40 mile an hour.
And John Furness tried to miss it, I think. I'm just kidding. They'll fire up all the F1 fans.
Oh, no, you're too late now. They're in your mentions.
Tommy Ryan and Shane Therian fighting for now second place. These drivers haven't yet to pit.
Now notice he's actually the full back straight ahead of these two even. See where Elwood comes out. He'll have the freshest tires of almost everyone else, depending on when he pits. Ryan's looked sharp tonight. I think he's the only playoff driver without the actual playoff green playoff banner, but I don't think that matters. He's still going to battle for what's, for now, the second position.
Been a stark contrast, I think, to Monday's race, Hunter. We saw lots of really close battles and a lot of bumps and bruises and spins. And actually, this car is, I think, is more difficult to drive on road courses than the next gen. But we saw more incidents on Monday.
Yeah, really shocked that we haven't seen that many incidents, especially with the complaints that I was hearing before this race. Braking was more difficult in this car than the next gen car, but it seems like that is not the case, at least for the good portion of this race. I know we had our few little spins, dinks, and doinks here early on, but other than that, it really hasn't been too chaotic yet. It seems like Alan Elwood's come down pit road to service his car.
Here he is, down pit lane. One and only pit stop on the night. 15 laps to go for the leaders. Means we're about 23 minutes or so away from calling this one a night. Shane Ferry and Tommy Ryan take over the lead. This is a battle for the top spot, but again, they both have to pit. They'll be the last drivers to have to do so, other than Matthew Cochran in the Ford down in 17th place.
We'll see where they come out, because they are losing a lot of time to everyone who did pit. The fall-off is that bad. Scioli alone about 3.5 seconds faster, as Cochran's in the dirt trying to get out of the leader's way, as these two still continue to battle. They've been around each other for a while. Therian has been the aggressor most of it, but Tommy Ryan's now flipped that script a little bit. Once again, shouldn't be too long until these guys pit, with coming to about, and next time by will be 14 laps to go, so maybe these are the guys who are going to stretch the field all the way. We'll see how that works out.
Well, Dom DeLeo has offered his take, saying Furness is greater than Verstappen.
That's a take, and we don't have to think about it.
Will they hit pit lane this time? It looks like Therian will. Tommy Ryan will stay out one more lap. Well, he got a moment of a little bit of calm before, I assume we'll get a couple storms before the night is over. Fans, be sure to check out Simrap Market for custom iRacing paint scheme templates that are simple to use and help you stay more focused on the racetrack. And be sure to check out rickshotsauce.com for some of the best hot sauces made locally in South Florida. Be sure to follow the Rick's Hot Sauce Rookie of the Year battle in the Area Cup Series and see who will take home the $100 prize as the highest finishing rookie in the point standings. Battle here, P6, Mitchell and Beckner.
If I had to pin someone to be the most aggressive one of the night, it's probably Travis Beckner, although he hasn't really been that aggressive. He's just really been the one making a lot of passes. He's going to dive to the inside on the 2 machine of Greg Mitchell here. A little bit fresher tires for the 27, I believe. Side by side into 1. Going to try to over-under him out of turn number 2. Not really going to be able to get any overlap, but still on the charge for sure.
Close battle here.
Same lap on the tires for these two, but I think Beckner has just been a lot quicker in the early part of a run, and Mitchell sideways.
That was a bad turn there for Mitchell. That's going to benefit Beckner heavily.
think he got the grass. That's why he stepped out that badly. He got the grass on the inside, and it just completely threw his car for a loop.
He was already kind of off kilter, but right here, there's the grass on the inside that you mentioned, Connor. Then he just had to fight it to get control back, and that's what ended up dropping him down the spot. Alan Elwood and Cameron Hearn. Elwood's fresh out of the pits. Hearn has 6-lap old tires. Elwood locks it up down in turn 7.
They're going to make it work. Once again, the 67 didn't really have the tires to fight back. He's going to try to with everything he can, but I don't think you get that spot back unless Elwood goes even further offline.
It's out front. It's 4.7 seconds between Tommy Ryan and Scioli. Ryan still needs to pit, so it will turn the lead over to the 7. And John Furness is about the same distance back that he was prior to the pit sequence, but 4/10 off of Scioli's pace.
Yeah, and it is showing right now how much of a difference just a lap makes. It's already 5 seconds, and it's not going to get any better from here on out. It might even out a little bit, but the 7 just going to pull away further and further to the point where it might even be out of the 28 sight down this back straightaway by the time this one's almost over. Still got a few people to pit. Tommy Ryan is actually not too far up the road from Scioli himself. It's really only about really under 4 seconds, so we might see the 99 come down any lap now. As we look at this battle, Rob Ackley battling Colin Fambro.
Fight for 11th ongoing between the two. Fambro just trying to make it to the end here. That really didn't do good at Mid-Ohio. Doing better here at the Indy Road Course, but just trying to hang on to the best he can. And Beckner moving up another spot past Munsell for the 4th spot. Right behind those two, Greg Mitchell trying to lurk in, see if he can get around Munsell as they head into 12.
Winding down the laps here. Another brief reminder of what the points were coming into the night. Colin Fambro needed a good night. Right now, he's the 3rd to last runner. He's 10th of the 12 when it comes to the playoff drivers in the field. So he needed a good night. Ackley is down there as well. Grant is also not having a very good night, so he's going to be below the cut line. A driver that should gain some ground, though, relative to their position in the points coming into the night. Hearn should be up a couple of spots, and Greg Mitchell is in a really good position right now, 5th of the playoff runners.
Yeah, I was a little bit worried about Greg Mitchell, but he's done really solid tonight. He was top 3 for the longest time, but still trying to fight back from hitting a little bit later. He's actually a next driver in line to get past Justin Munsell and try to keep pace with a 27 of Beckner, but still going to be a solid night, something I believe he needed. He was 3 to the good, but the drivers who are behind him have had good seasons and just haven't gotten wins. So this is a big one for the 2 machine.
A wheel hop there for the 2 down into turn 7. Munsell overcooks it, though, and Mitchell will go right on by.
Oh, and saves it. Doesn't fully spin, but loses track position there. Just take a look at the replay again.
That just gets in there too hot. Locks up the left front, and off he goes. Munsell will drop down another spot, move Mitchell back into the top 5. No other close battles at the moment, other than Scioli and Ryan, but Ryan's still holding out and is going to get past here this lap.
I think the 20 going off was the 2 machine. Greg Mitchell kind of showed the nose, showed the 20 was there, and maybe put him off his game. It's easy to happen, and it's one of the oldest tricks in the book for racing. I've seen it before. I've actually done it, but I've had it done to me, and it's not fun. And you feel a little bit worse afterwards, but works well for the 2 there. And seeing what I think Tom Ryan will be the only driver to run the fuel empty at this point. Coming to 10 laps to go next time by. We'll see what happens. Scioli should get him, I would believe. His best bet's going to be into 7 this time coming.
Might have to be after that, though. I don't know if he'll get there in time. He'll be coming back to 10 laps to go. We're really winding things down here in this 35-lap race. And Scioli's competition, John Furness, 5 seconds back. As long as he doesn't waste a whole lot of time here or get tangled up with Ryan, he'll be in good shape to bring it back around 10 more times.
I have to see. Looks like the 7's going to set up here. Up. Tommy Ryan a little bit wide there, and I don't think Scioli's going to have any issue getting by him, and that's the race for the lead. Pretty much done. As James Scioli going to go back to the point on lap 25.
If he can make it around.
Oh, Ryan is in there a little bit deep. I thought he was going to wipe him out. But that was...
Ain't over yet.
It ain't over till it's over, boys. 10 laps to go. I'm actually surprised Ryan didn't hit pit lane right here. But 10 to go this time through.
Might be trying to maximize the most he can get out of his fuel line, I would assume.
I would assume so. Pitting this late, definitely no way. I would assume there's no way you can make it. Otherwise, more people will be doing it than Tommy Ryan, I would think. So once again, shouldn't be too long, but kind of surprised by the fight he put up with Scully, not letting him get too far away too quickly.
There's John Furness now about 5 seconds back. And even with the holdup from Ryan, Furness didn't gain that lap, so he's not going to run him back down without a little bit of assistance. Forrest Smith in the 80. We haven't even really mentioned Forrest Smith a lot tonight. He's just kind of had a tough night, had a spin down here at turn number 12. Here's what, or 13 actually.
It was a little earlier than that. I think I might have been out of 11.
Oh, you're right. Sorry. Yes, right here.
Ooh. He's very low on the banking as well. Look out, tire barriers over there. Oh,
got him.
Got him.
Well, that is definitely not ideal for Forrest Smith at all.
I don't think it hurt the car too much, though. I think he got away with one.
Have a look at the nose here. Yeah, it looks actually pretty good.
Like maybe got more of the fender around the tire, but still pretty good considering.
Yeah, a little bit of hood crinkle there, but it's not going to affect the performance, at least in a massive context. Guys, this has been Scioli's race to lose all night long. He has led most of the laps so far. We've completed 25. He has led 17 and just continues to click him off. This time through will be 9 laps to go.
Trying to look at the battles around. Everything's gotten really spread out. Chris Rabel right next to Colin Fambro. That's actually up the top 10 position. I believe Rabel did actually pit at some point. I'm trying to see.
Didn't record it. It did record another pit lane about 1 minute and 1 second in length. But it still didn't record him stopping in the box, which is weird. But either way, seems to have worked. Colin Fambro was 6 seconds faster than Rabel last time by, because I think he was completing an outlap of some sort.
I checked. Rabel has not come back down, so.
That's weird. That's so weird.
Might be trying to save being that far off the pace. The tires are very, very old, but even Tommy Ryan isn't that slow. So maybe he took a little bit of fuel, and now this is a strategy at the end. I don't know, but 10 laps to go. Coming to 9 for these guys. It's pretty surprising as he's really, you can see how old the tires are just by how hard it is to get out of 14, but 18 should have him here.
But why make that gamble? I mean, right, Hunter? I mean, in the playoffs, you weren't like you were down at the bottom of the grid. Why make that gamble? It wasn't everything or nothing. This is one of those races where I would be on strategy unless I absolutely couldn't be.
He was 7th as well.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I would have pitted at least a little earlier.
That's what we chalk it up to. We chalk it up to I don't know.
I mean, it's just, this is, in a playoff context, right? Oh, here's the slide. This will be the pass here, I think, for Fambro. Is if you're not in a dire situation, taking huge swings at strategy is almost never a good idea. So I'm a little bit surprised at that decision if that's what was made, unless it was extenuating circumstances that we talked about earlier, not getting into the box and giving up on that. But either way, it's not going to work out for Rabel. He's going to lose some spots in the standings, I think, given the way that this is headed.
Yeah, he's not really out of the woods yet either. Rob Ackley's coming with fresher tires. Ricky Hard might not get there, though. So if he can make it to the end, he might only lose one more spot. But like we're talking about, he was 7th when he made that stop and go. And Forrest Smith goes wide into 11, actually into 12. But yeah, like we said, chalk it up to I don't know. It's not really something I've ever seen. But Tommy Ryan's still out there, so maybe making it is a possibility, but all the other drivers thought it just wouldn't be worth it on time. So I don't know.
For Ryan, it's actually not going that terribly. If he could, he's going to lose another spot here to John Furness and maybe Beckner, but he's going to still be a top 5 runner. And given tonight where he started in 10th, if he could finish top 5, that would be a gamble worth taking. But I think he was in a position where he could probably afford to do this maybe a bit more than the 29 could.
Yeah, he came into the night 12 to the good. The 29 of Rabel came in 5 to the good. So yeah, the 99 can make this work. And the difference between those strategies, the 99 hasn't pit. He's doing this without coming through pit road and wasting a minute driving through pit road and stopping briefly. So that's why he's 2nd, and the 29's 11th and dropping. So it'd be pretty impressive if the 99 could pull this off. It's a lot of fuel to save on the course of a full fuel run. He's got, I believe, 7 more laps to try to make this work, as John Furness has finally caught the back of the 99. And I think that's one reason why this is working for Tommy Ryan, because the tire fall off is so bad that John Furness has kind of equalized with him almost a little bit. It's not as bad as 4 seconds off the pace. It's really only about a second and a half off.
Well, Beckner closing in now, 4th place. He could make it interesting here. I mentioned that, especially this part of the track, don't really want to do side-by-side through here, but I feel like if it comes down to it, Beckner will indeed make it side-by-side through 5 and 6 with Furness, if he can get up to it.
We saw that on Monday, I think, with Beckner willing to put people side by side.
Oh, he did that a few times.
With Rafe Slade, I remember. I think they both did it to each other once or twice.
Yeah, Beckner was there at least twice, I think 3 times, but he's one that is willing to make it aggressive no matter what.
And Furness is hot on the heels now of Tommy Ryan. And this shouldn't be that challenging of a pass for the 28. Here he comes up the inside at 12. Ryan's going to leave him plenty of space. A little puff of smoke there from the 28. But Ryan's going to defend this a little bit.
It's going to let Beckner close right in to John Furness. That's really going to hurt the 28. And now Ryan's really going to put up no fight with Travis Beckner. That's going to let the 27 of Beckner have all the fight in the world for the 28 of John Furness.
Ooh, a little chase cam drone action there for a second. Wrong button. Down the front straightaway into turn 1. Beckner is looking pretty quick. And I don't think Furness is going to appreciate Tommy Ryan. Ryan's driving his race and defending, doing everything he should be doing. But Furness is going to be frustrated that he let the 27 go by so easily there after fighting him so hard.
Hey, with 6 laps to go, and Tommy Ryan's goal, if his goal is trying to make it to the end, he's got everything to race for, fight
100%.
for every spot.
Yep.
Can't really be too mad about it. I understand if he is. I probably would be too, to be completely honest, in his position, but that's part of the game. That's how racing works, is Beckner's really pushing hard to try to have a fight.
He's too hot, too hot, too hot. Can he get it slowed down?
Oh, it
just barely.
Hot.
Man, he almost, I think he was in, he got it slowed down somehow, but it looked like he was way late on the brakes there.
I think Furness was ready for it. That's what helped, and Beckner's going to have a little bit more fight. You can see Furness struggling with the rear of that car. Beckner's got him all out of whack after that move there, as they're going to be bumper to bumper here in the, I believe.
Beckner might come in a little too hot. No.
This battle's getting
right
good.
Ooh.
Tire tracks left in the pavement behind him. Coming to 5 laps to go, and these two are tangling for second place.
Tommy Ryan shopping back. Rick Mitchell's next in line. He should get to the 99 as a big slide. Beckner trying so hard to get the edge onto the front straightaway, but in fact he's going to lose time by trying to push it too much. 5 laps to go, that time by.
Mike going to try and gain that back here in turn 1. See if he gets on the brakes here a little too hot. Oh, easing into it. Easing in towards the bumper of Furness is the 27 of Beckner.
Nicely done. Got it slowed down. Using all the curbing on drivers left at turn 2. Turn 3 and 4. This is always a challenging corner to set up just quite right. Beckner, a little bit tighter line here. Now it comes onto the throttle for 5 and 6. Beckner's been kind of straight lining this a little bit more aggressively. Look at the jump there over the curb. But Furness takes the more proper line and actually has a better run.
I think Beckner got too far left and lost time doing that, hopping the curb too harshly. He's really the only one pushing so hard into turn number 7, but he's making it work to the left side of Furness there out of nowhere. He's going to try to keep the overlap. It's so hard to go too wide there. Furness off his game. Beckner's going to try the overlap him.
Oh, he's going to get it.
Should have him.
Oh, he slid a little bit there coming out of the corner.
That was textbook, though, by Beckner to recognize that and do the crossover into turn 12, side by side.
Someone's got to give.
Undo. This is a great battle.
Oh, this is good stuff, and there's about to be a battle behind him, too. Furness keeps it under him, and Beckner might not get a good run as Tommy Ryan finally hits pit lane. He couldn't make it to the end, as these two are going to be door-to-door onto the front straightaway.
Boy, this battle for a second will not quit.
Now it's a drag race to turn 1. I think Beckner's got the advantage here. He should be able to complete this pass, but who's going to be braver on the brakes? Ooh, Beckner's a little earlier.
Oh, Furness a bit too deep, though. He's not going to have a good turn into 2, but he keeps it side by side, and Beckner cannot get the run out. Furness is going to really tough to stay on the outside. They almost make contact. They're still not giving it an inch, but I don't think he can fight Beckner through there.
No, he can't. He's going to tuck back in line now, but a great multi-lap battle between the 27 and the 28, but Beckner will prevail there and move on forward into second place. What a drive from both of those drivers. And Greg Mitchell loved watching those drivers fight because it's burning up their tires and he's making up a ton of ground on Furness.
And we'll see if he can get there in time. And like I said, through that, Tommy Ryan did eventually come down to pit road. He came up 4 laps short. It's going to drop him down the order to, I believe, 11th. Actually, no, he's still going to be behind Chris Rabel, maybe, but he should get by him and Rob Ackley quite quickly.
A little further back, it's Cameron Hearn, Shane Therian. Therian looks like he's closing in on Hearn. Hearn having to play a little bit of defense here heading into 7th. See what the 38 can do.
Playoff competitors going at it here. Therian being so gentle on the throttle. Hearn being a little bit more aggressive, but he seemed to get loose there at turn 10.
Wow. Yeah, just absolutely trying to baby it because these tires for Hearn are kind of shot. I believe he pit earlier than most.
Yep.
Oh, really loose entering.
No.
He's somehow going to make it work.
Nope.
No, he's not.
Nope.
There's grass there. Therian's going to have really nothing. He's going to not have to struggle to make that pass as Hearn's still struggling.
Woo! It's almost dirt tracking it.
So
Dirt track's on the other side of the track.
3 laps to go. Furness and Mitchell now separated by just half a second, which seems like enough time for Mitchell to get the job done, but he's got to set his sights on that 28's rear bumper and go get him.
Really surprising to see this because Jean Furness, that was one of his strong suits he had over Scioli at Mid-Ohio, was saving the tires for the long run. But tonight, he had good hot lap speed and he was able to keep up for about 10 laps with the 7, but he just has not been able to keep the rears on it, and it's cost him potentially a spot in the top 3. It's still not too much time for Mitchell to make this pass. He has 2 laps to set it up and do it, but Furness is probably going to want this race back.
Another driver who might want the race back is Chris Rabel. Didn't have that good pit stop there, although he... Well, he's going to lose another spot here, potentially, to Rob Ackley. He's going to let him go.
Well, I think he had to slow down there from cutting turn 2, potentially. Going to cost him some time.
So it seemed like right on cue with Rabel wanted this race back or wanted that pit stop back, because that could have set him. He was running inside the top 10 too. Before that was the first playoff driver to come down pit road, undershot the pit box, and some glitch happened there and hasn't quite recovered since then. Just lost a spot to Ackley.
2 laps to go, and Furness into turn 1 has Mitchell behind him. Mitchell didn't really close a lot that time by, but I think he's still quick enough to get there, given another lap and a half or so.
He's going to have to get there to the point where he's on Furness's bumper throughout most of the final lap, because I don't think he wants to be in a situation where he has to really send it into one of these 90-degree corners. I don't think it's what he wants. Very wide on the exit of the chicane, almost went into the grass and might have even lost a touch of time there.
Going to be close here, if he can get around the 28 or not.
They're coming up the lap traffic as well. We'll see if they, play into this at all.
I'll tell you what, this is going to be quite a day for Mitchell if he can snag a podium spot away from teammate John Furness. It seemed like he was going to, it's either going to be him or Scioli taking a victory. Didn't think we'd see Furness. I know it's only 3rd, but I didn't think we'd see him this far back.
I thought for sure he'd give a bit more of a run to Scioli. That just wasn't meant to be tonight. Look at the 27 getting by Steve Durham. And now the 28 and 2 have to navigate by the 1 car as well, as the leader is going to pick up the white flag this time by James Scioli. 1 lap to go here from the Indianapolis road course.
All on his own, and he's earned the right to be all on his own. He's been as fast as he's been. Furness, a little bit of a struggle getting back onto the front straightaway. That let Mitchell close in a little bit more, and they still got to get by the lap traffic of Steve Durham, Matthew Cochran. Cochran, they're almost going to be side by side, as Furness is going to have really nowhere to go here through the first 2 corners.
Boy, this is a mess here on this last lap.
Worst case scenario for Furness. Where do you go? What do you do? Not that way. Maybe it is.
Durham let him go that way, and that's going to kill Greg Mitchell.
Wow, Durham is quite the pickle in the middle.
That might have saved Furness there. Oh, he's going to go by around Cochran. Oh, he has the lift. And here comes the number 2 with a big run. I just don't know if he's going to get there by 7.
Durham spun out in all of that as well, but at least they didn't take out 2 of the top 4.
Oh, the 20-inch wide.
Furness missed it.
Steven Durham. Or not Durham, it was Cochran. Cochran was the grace that Mitchell needed. Take a look at it. He just missed it right here on the last lap.
Just locked it up, couldn't get it turned.
I don't know if he locked it up, but regardless, Mitchell's going to get that 3rd position. Meanwhile, at the final corners, that's how far Scaoli's out. About a 10-second lead. He's going to come to the line now.
There we go. Off the final corner, Scaoli's going to advance. Won't have to worry about Vegas. Checker flag in the air. He wins at the Indy Road Course.
2nd place, Travis Peckner, a long ways back. Out of turn number 14, he will come back, pick up 2nd place, and Greg Mitchell. Last lap pass on John Furness, 3rd place for the number 2. 4th place for the 28, and then everybody else going to stream on in behind them. And no other battles coming to the start-finish line.
Yeah, everything got spaced out at the end. Elwood's going to come across 5th all on his own, well ahead of Justin Munsell, who recovered for 6th. Theory in 7th. Cameron Hearn sliding to 8th place. That's how bad his rear tires have gotten, but I think he's doing part of that on purpose.
12 of the top 13 finishers are playoff competitors. The crane rises, and there's 67 coming to the strike.
In reverse.
That was from position.
Doing so.
Yeah, Fambry, he left Fambro by doing
Oh,
that.
that wasn't very smart. Anyway, here's a look at your race results. Bring them to you now and show you who's where. Scaoli, Beckner, Mitchell, Furness, Elwood. How about Munsell? Only driver to break up the playoff mixture there at the top.
He's one of the best drivers all day. Just got a little bit caught up in, I think he was the one who got contact from Furness, so that hindered his run a little bit, but still 6th place, very solid for him. Fambro's going to absolutely take that extra point from Cameron Hearn. And Tommy Ryan, who stuck it to the very end on his fuel run, still got a top 10 out of it.
Yeah, Hearn entered last in the standings getting into this race, so that position might cost him in the end. Ackley, Rabel, and Grant, the rest of the playoff drivers, and the rest of the results you see on your screen right there. And now we get to do our favorite part, interview the podium drivers, and that includes the winner doing burnouts, James Scaoli. Don't do them on the bricks, though. It's cursed.
And Burnout celebrating for the number 7. Oop, backs it into the wall. It's a tight front straightaway when you're doing burnouts on it. Celebrations.
Passes post-race inspection.
Yep.
Yeah.
Passes tech.
All right. Celebrations for the number 7 and a solid 3rd place run by driver number 2, Greg Mitchell, brings home the number 2 Ford Mustang in 3rd place. Greg, that was a pretty fun race to watch there at the end between you and the 28 and the 27, of course. Take us through your night. Got spread out, and it was kind of a strategy and track position battle at that point.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. This track was really hard. The Xfinity cars are on ice. It took a lot of laps, a lot of practice to even get a handle on the car, and even a million laps later, it was really hard. But no, thanks to John. Actually, in practice, we were really working on like the brake bias and stuff like that, and he helped me dial it in. So huge kudos to him. And it was unfortunate he locked it up on the last corner. I was taunting him over the radio because we were gonna go hard, but he went in too hard. But it was really fun, and yeah, that was a good race.
Well, it's a great race for you to grab some points before we head into Las Vegas next week, which is an elimination race. What are your goals next week? Obviously, you picked up a bunch of really good points, so you should be in pretty good shape, but obviously Las Vegas is a very different animal to IMS.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to expect there. I've actually never run it in the Xfinity car, so I mean, top 5s are definitely the goal, and I mean, top 10 might be enough to at least make it to the next round, but you never know who's going to finish where, so just, run as hard as we can and put in a lot of practice.
All right, Greg, we'll see you next week. Best of luck to you. Congrats on the finish tonight.
All right, and real quick, thank you for all the sponsors on the car, NAI, DeLeo Bram, and Eat Sleep Race, Mag Air Bank, Fame Construction, and thanks to Dom for putting this team together. It's been a blast.
All right, Greg, have a great night.
You too. Thanks, guys.
Moving on now to second place, Travis Beckner fought through it, had some great battles there with Furness and Mitchell and Moore. Travis came home in second place tonight. We're watching in slow-mo your battle with the 28. That was a fun one to watch. You've had a bunch of fun battles this week. How was this in comparison?
Oh man, yeah. Another road course race, another race with the Zika's cars. I haven't had too good of a past with them, but I've definitely cleared it up because after these last few weeks, it's been really fun racing with them. And not my crew chief, but after he towed and got out of the car, was helping me out, Jacob Hudson. He was telling me how much I was catching them every lap and everything, and I was like, oh, I might have a shot at getting second here.
Well, you finished second and picked up some really important points. You're in pretty good shape in terms of the playoffs. Las Vegas, though, next week. That's going to be an interesting one. How do you feel about that?
Las Vegas last year was fun. I think I'll do pretty good. I don't know, though. We'll see when we get there, but I'd like to think I'm locked in on points pretty much at this point, but we'll never know till we get to the end of the round.
Well, you're going to be in pretty good shape looking now. You're 26 back from Scioli at the front of the field, and it looks like ninth place is 50 points back. So that is a 24-point buffer. So maybe not quite locked in there, Travis, but you're in pretty good shape.
Yeah. Before I go, I'd like to thank a few sponsors. First off, I'd like to thank Collier Cutters Landscaping of Southwest Florida, Lodgebox Wax Electric, Rick's Hot Sauce, Palmetto State Army, McConey's Setup Shop, everybody at Miller Racing and JBR, and y'all taking the time out of your day to come do this once again. And I'd like to say happy birthday to my cousin. I almost didn't make it here because I was at his birthday party, and yeah, didn't have much practice coming into this, and was fun.
Put on a good show, Travis. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
James Scioli wins one here in the Area Lodgebox Series, gets it done here at IMS, and was racing pretty aggressively there with John Furness. He had you on your heels there for a little bit at the start, but then lap after lap, you drove away and never looked back. James, take us through your night.
Yeah, I was kind of worried there at the beginning. He was able to stay super close to me, and I didn't know. I felt like I was saving my stuff pretty good, but I was getting a little worried that maybe I was going too slow or he was saving better than me. So once I started pulling away there about lap 10 in the run, I started feeling pretty good, and then knew he was going to pit a lap before me. So just wanted to get into the box clean, get out of the box clean, no penalties, and keep the lead. And then I think he got damaged maybe battling with Munsell. So from that point on, it was just kind of put it on cruise control and don't make any big mistakes.
Well, you got it done. You're now locked in to the round of 8, so you can go to Las Vegas without having to worry about anything. So does that change your goal next week, or is still getting the victory the top of mind?
I definitely still want to get the win, get some more playoff points, just keep building the cushion, and always nice to pad the stats a little bit. But the big focus next week will be the Cup Series and the Truck Series. The Cup Series, I did not take enough fuel on Monday, so that was a big mistake on my part, and then just kind of quit after that. Probably should have stayed in to get some points, but I'm racing for wins, not points, so it was just kind of mad there. And then Tuesday had the College Series race, missed the truck, so I'm dead last in the points there. So this series is good, locked in, so all sights focused on those two series, try and get locked into all three of them.
Well, best of luck to you next week in all the series. We'll see you there, James. Las Vegas next week for all three. We'll see you.
Thank you, guys, and just want to say a big thanks to you guys and the admin team all season. Now that we're in the playoffs, just big thanks to you guys, and thanks to all the people that weren't in the playoffs that still showed up for today. I know it was kind of a smaller field, so that definitely sucks, but glad to see that they still came out. And then Rick's Hot Sauce, Code Scioli, get you $7 off. Dandle's Candles, Matco Tools, Butt Kicker, DWR. I know we're sitting fairly good in the points right now in the team championship, so hopefully we can lock that up here.
All right, James, have a good night. Enjoy it. Congratulations on the win.
Thanks, guys.
All right, guys, wrapping things up. Before we get to our final thoughts here, of course, one more thank you to make to the Area iRacing partners, the AreaIRacing.shop. Fans, be sure to check out AreaIRacing.shop for merchandise to represent your favorite driver. Shop from our selection of t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, stickers, and more. Use code SWAN for 10% off your order at checkout. Connor, Indianapolis road course, love this place. I think it races great with stock cars tonight. Didn't have quite the battles we saw on Monday, but still some good scraps there, especially the 27 and 28 there.
Yeah, not the biggest of fields, but it definitely turned into a heck of a battle for that second position. Even for the third position, it got pretty wild with lap traffic getting away, getting out of the way at the wrong times. But overall, pretty solid race, solid track. The Xfinity cars really don't disappoint at road courses because of how hard it is to keep the tires on the dang thing. At the end of the day, Scioli was able to dominate. We thought Fairness would have a bit more of a challenge, but he just couldn't keep the tires on it himself. And it opens up a pretty interesting picture going into Vegas with Rabel above the cut line only by 3 points over Colin Fambro. And Cameron Hearn with that spin, losing that spot to Fambro, actually lost a point to the cut line. He's going to enter Vegas 7 below, the furthest below. So he's got work to do among others.
Hunter, final thoughts on IMS road course?
Well, I thought it's pretty solid. The Lodgebox series put on a good show. Scioli once again proving why he is the king on the road courses. This is now 4 straight wins on the road courses for him. But fortunately for those of you who are not road course enthusiasts, we go back to oval racing next week. Las Vegas Motor Speedway is where area will be headed and where we will eliminate the playoff field from 12 to 8 after the checker flag flies in Nevada.
Next week, all racing at Las Vegas, so roll the dice, see what chances your favorite driver has. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next week from Las Vegas. See you in the West Coast time zone next week.